Hi, I'm Alison. If you haven't met me before, I am the owner and director of ICE, the Institute of Culinary Excellence. So what I'm going to try and do is just start you off with some basics. So let's go right to the beginning, and we're going to go through some basic knife skills, knife cuts. So today's class is going to be cutting a jardiniere. So first things first, these days we have to do sanitizer, we all know that. We're going to wash hands first, and then I'm going to get my bench ready. So just hold on there. I'm just going to wash my hands to get started. I've washed my hands, dried them off. All right, we're also going to use a sanitizer to make sure our bench is very clean. I don't want to use the little green one because it's too small, so I'm just going to put you there as a reminder. So the best trick, and you probably already know this, you can put a wet chucks underneath. I usually just use a couple of bits of paper, and I wet them down, and I make my own little protection board like that. So we've done the mirepoix. Hopefully you've had time to practice that. I'm now going to do a jardiniere. Now, the word jardin in French means, in English, it means garden. So I'm not really sure what they meant by this, but I think it meant like a selection of garden vegetables. This is a jardiniere. So jardin is garden, jardiniere is in the style of a garden. Usually, 39 years ago, my jardiniere was swede, turnip, carrot, and possibly some celery. It didn't have anything like pumpkin or sweet potato or anything starchy that was going to mash up. It was all veg of the same kind of texture. So I'm going to show you, a jardiniere is a baton. It's 2 centimetres long, and the cube, if you're into maths and all that, is a 4mm by power of 3, so 4mm cube. It's not a cube though, it's a stick, so let me show you. You can't do a stick or a cube from a round carrot, right? So what I was taught to do is always cut the veg down into 2 centimetre blocks to start with. It makes sense, right? So you can get a ruler out or you can guess it. But if you're the only chef doing a jardiniere, you can guess, but all your jardiniere needs to be the right size. The problem is when there's 4 or 5 of you doing prep for a 1,000-person function, and one of you has the idea that jardiniere can be 5 centimetres long, someone else says, oh, no, it's 2, because I watched Alison's video, and someone else says, I'm just going to make it up as I go along. Imagine when that all goes together. It looks terrible. So this is what we call precision cutting. 2 centimetres long by 4mm cubed, just under half a centimetre. All right, so we're going to take this. Now, you can't worry too much about the rolling at this point. We are going to square this off. So use that one as the guide, okay? And again, we're still using the same technique of whatever, like I said before. And all of these little carrot rounds are, you can use that as a guide, you can use it, you can measure it. If it's something that you haven't done before, then by all means do it. So you've got these little barrels ready to go, okay? All right, so now we're going to make a baton. You can't do that from round. What I want to do is also show you about the knife. If you're going to wipe your knife, always wipe it with the back of the knife in the cloth and away from you. So we said 2 centimetres long. We want to make a dice. So what we need to do is square off this carrot, all right? So we need to square off. Now, don't just go, okay, I don't want to waste too much, so I'm just going to go random. You've got to go point to point, all right? Because, and when I say that, I meant, see how absolutely square that is? You've got to go point to point, because if you don't, every baton's going to have a round edge. Now, what worries me about this is because I've got a carrot that when I cut the edges off, it's nearly all root. You do really need a bigger carrot for a jardiniere, So in my terms, in London in the 80s, it was very straight and very cornered. I would get shot if I didn't do that when I was working at the hotels in London. Now this is not going in the compost. This is what we call usable trimmings. I'm going to use this later to cut a paysanne, which is another veg cut, okay? So usable trimmings, unusable compost, yeah? All right, so let's cut this down into our square. Square off the edges. You can't use the claw. You've got to just grip this baby, and you need to cut it down so that each one of these has a square, right-angled corner, yeah? And even that base is a little bit wonky. All right, like this. You see how much waste there is here? So, people say to me, why do these veg cuts not appear in restaurants anymore? Well, I think the answer is here, right? It's very wasteful. Yes, you can make a carrot puree or a carrot soup or use it for a minestrone or a stew, but, how much of that do you want to actually make? So these cuts are old-fashioned, but they're really good to show knife control. So these will go into our usable pot, puree, soup, stock, whatever we want to do, all right? It's peeled, it's washed, it's perfectly good. Let's take our first one. So what size did we say the cube was, if you can remember? It's 4 millimetres, which is just under half a centimetre. So remember, the first thing is to cube it. Second thing is to slice it. So we're going to go just under half a centimetre, point down and slice, all right? Point down and slice. Now, just because that was perfect, yes, it's because I'm a genius and I already knew the sizes, but don't just go, you know what, I'm going to throw it in anyway, because that's going to make it look terrible. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Like if you're going to do this and you're going to do your sizing like that, 1, 2, and that bit is too small or too big, you can't use it. Like, so you can imagine that the waste of that is getting more and more, you know. So it is hard to explain why we used to do these cuts, but we would show off with these cuts. We'd use them as a garnish. Now, let's do one at a time, because I used to pile them up and get through this pretty quick. We've got one slice, which is 2 centimetres high, 4 mil thick, and now we need to do 4 millimetre cubes. So bang them down, and we go once, twice. It's not 3 times a lady for me, because that's too small, right? I've got 2 perfect Jardiniere. Look at those little ones. Perfect. Do 2 together if you feel confident, all right? Make sure that they're lined up, and you go once, twice, and these are too thin. You can't use them. So just because, you know, we're mindful of basic cuts and trimmings and all that, we just can't throw those in just for the sake of it, because they're wrong. You know, we might get away with it, but if I had somebody watching me like I used to at college, I wouldn't get away with it. So let's do this, and let's go again. This has done 3. I'm happy about that. Less waste. So it depends on the size of your block to start with. Look at them. They look lovely. I love this cut. If you want to make it 4 centimetres, you're the chef. You're in charge. It might be your place. Everything's 4 centimetres though. All right. Don't just mix and match. All right. Let's put those little babies in a bowl, and I'm just going to cut the rest of those up for you as well. We used to cook this jardiniere of carrots in London with a bit of water, just barely covered, a knob of butter, some sugar, some salt, and a cartouche, a little round piece of greaseproof paper on top. And sometimes we'd make Vichy carrots, which was with Vichy mineral water. Can you imagine? And that would reduce down, and when the carrot was al dente and perfectly cooked with a bit of bite, the water would have reduced down with the butter, sugar, and salt and make a glaze. And we used to serve it in this lovely, buttery, sugary glaze, and I loved it. It was so good. So these little ones are usable. Jardin is garden in French. Now, let me show you another thing that's going to go in there, which is going to be celery. All right? I want to show you this one because it's got a natural curve around it. So what I'll do is take off the bottom of the celery, and I'll use that for my mirepoix or something I'm going to do a bit later. But what I'll do is start off with a nice sort of like strip, so to speak. Now, how am I going to get that into this? I mean, that takes talent. That takes real skill, right? You try cutting a julienne of this one too, a little bit later. You can keep watching. All right, what I'll do with this one, I was taught to do this, take off the 2, actually that's probably too dangerous, I shouldn't show you that. Take off the 2 outside pieces, like this, and you're almost with a block at the bottom, yeah? Now these are almost, ironically, into a jardiniere shape anyway, 2 centimetres long, yeah? Almost there, look. But that was just a fluke, that's not normal, all right? We will take our celery. See this? What we do now is we turn him over, and this is another cut that is a little bit dangerous, but what I want to show you is you take your knife and let the knife grip the food first, hold your hand out of the way, and you take off the top, you see? Again, let the knife do the first grip, gentle, knife away, take him down. All right, you can do the same thing again with the bottom if you need to. This one, not so much, this one definitely, all right? Because you've got quite a thick base. Now that is almost perfect to do your jardiniere, see? But the length is wrong. So we need to cut that into 2 centimetres, 2 centimetres, turn him round, and we have almost perfect jardiniere. Look at that. You wouldn't have done that with this other great big bit or this tiny bit at the top, all right? So remember though, you can't really block it, but you can use what you've got, yeah? And if you want to make a different flavour in your jardiniere, use your celery. Perfect, yeah? Gorgeous. Again, I've got to be careful of that fact that this is quite round, this slice. Trim him down, and I'm just going to make that into my 2 centimetre piece and trim it down. Again, I don't think your bosses would be very happy with you hand carving one jardiniere of carrot. Work-wise, money-wise, labour-wise, it's ridiculous. But it's a good cut to know, and it's a good way of knowing how to cut something that's not a natural square, all right? So let's put a little bit of celery in there. Look, they're all the same size. So a jardiniere around the world in the classic kitchen, 2 centimetres long, 4 millimetres cubed. Remember, you've got to box it up first and make a big square base to be able to get your slices. All right, perfect.